Hi there, welcome. I am MisterBo, and this is episode 4 of the Lowdown, a brand new weekly podcast that goes live every Friday here on the channel. This week, we have a lot to talk about. We'll be talking about the Xbox Game Showcase, going over my thoughts and opinions on everything that was announced there, comparing it to the PlayStation 5 event, which happened last month, and then we'll also be going over my opinions on Ghost of Tsushima. I've put a lot of hours into it. I am nearly at the end of the main campaign, and I am really enjoying it so far, so we'll talk about that near the end of the show as well. If you do enjoy this, then let me know in the comments below. Click that like button, it lets me know that you want to see more of this stuff, and hopefully this show can continue to improve as we go on. With that being said though, let's talk about this Xbox Game Showcase because there is some mixed reactions on what we saw. Some people loved it, some people absolutely hated it. So let's start off with my opinions on the PlayStation conference before we move into this Xbox one, just so you guys know where I stand. So, I'm an Xbox guy, kind of have been for the last, 10, 11 years now. I first bought a 360 in about 2009. Before that, I had bought an Xbox original for about £10 second hand, and I picked up Halo 1 and Halo 2, as well as that Halo 2 DLC disc. Yes, there was a disc back then with DLC on it, had like 5 or 6 multiplayer maps. Played through all the Halos, absolutely loved it. Bought my 360 with Halo 3, played it, absolutely loved it. And ever since then, I've kind of just been an Xbox guy. I bought my Xbox One on day one, so I've got that day one 2013 edition, and I've kind of been with that Xbox ever since. Before that, I was a PlayStation guy. I had the PS1 back in 1999 is probably when I got PS1. Played that religiously, played all the Crash Bandicoots and stuff like that, Tony Hawk's. Got a PS2, played that, and then in that sort of PS2 to PS3 Xbox 360 gap, I kind of switched to the Nintendo Wii and had a Wii for about 4 or 5 years before I then decided to go to the 360. So that's kind of my past console history. That tells you, I used to be a PlayStation guy. I'm more of an Xbox person now. Their games are just more appealing to me. They're more the kind of things that I want to play. Your Halos, your first-person shooters, that kind of thing. I'm more of a multiplayer guy than a single-player guy. So when we got Xbox's original showcase back in May, there wasn't really much there. There was like maybe 1 or 2 games that I was excited about, the Medium being one, and a lot of the other games were kind of just, hey, they may be cool to play, I'm probably not actually going to play them. Let's move on, let's see some first-party stuff. PlayStation then came out swinging. We got Miles Morales, we got Ratchet & Clank, we got Horizon 2, and we got Resident Evil 8. Obviously, Resident Evil 8 is going to be a multi-platform game. We also got the announcement of Deathloop, that being exclusive to PlayStation for a year, as well as Ghostwire Tokyo, both of those being Bethesda games, and again, both of those being exclusive for a year. 2 games that I was really impressed with when we saw them in 2019 at E3. Apart from those games that I've just mentioned, there wasn't really anything else, maybe other than Bugsnax, that I'm kind of excited for when it comes to the PlayStation 5. The only real game we actually got gameplay of there was Ratchet & Clank in terms of the first-party games. We did get some gameplay in Resident Evil 8's trailer, kind of mashed together, and we also got some gameplay from Deathloop as well as Ghostwire Tokyo sort of montaged together as well. We kind of got little clips of Miles Morales, but it wasn't really gameplay as such. It was more just sort of third-person action shots. And of course, we didn't get anything from Horizon 2, and I don't think we got a date either. As for PlayStation 5's launch lineup, we assume Miles Morales is going to be there on day one. We kind of assume that Ratchet & Clank may be there on day one. I don't know if they've officially confirmed that yet. Apart from that, though, we don't really know what we're getting day one on the PS5. Anyways, they had a solid showing. I talked about that in a previous episode of The Lowdown when that went live. And overall, I would give that press conference about a 7 out of 10. Again, I'm an Xbox guy, so not all these games speak to me. Miles Morales was definitely the top one for me. And yeah, there wasn't really much else in terms of first-party exclusive that was like, this is going to make me want to buy a PS5. Obviously, past games that Sony has done, Ghost of Tsushima being one of them, have made me go, okay, maybe there are some games that will come out later down the line, which have yet to be announced, that'll make me go, alright, now I need a PS5. But personally, I didn't see anything in that showcase that made me go, yep, day one I'm buying a PS5. Let's fast forward to yesterday where we got the Xbox Game Showcase. Now, a lot of people have been saying, including me, that Xbox needed to deliver here. They needed to come out swinging, they needed to show off Halo, because Halo is, the main franchise of Xbox. And if this doesn't look good, well, you're going to let down a lot of fans. And they also need to come out swinging with a load of games that make people go, yeah, I want to get an Xbox Series X, or I want to subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. It's clear Microsoft are moving away from you need to buy our Xbox Series X console in order to be part of our gaming sphere. Hell, Phil Spencer has even come out and said, we don't care where you play. You can play on your Xbox One, you can play on your Xbox One X, you can get an Xbox Series X and play on that. You can play on PC. We don't care where you play as long as you're playing. We've seen Microsoft is moving away from this sort of next generation leap like PlayStation is currently sticking with. Microsoft is moving more towards subscription services with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, xCloud, and there have been some rumors that they may be dropping Xbox Live Gold, meaning you could play all of these games basically for free if it comes to online multiplayer. And I think this game showcase was kind of just more evidence of that. Every single game that we saw here, and I'll go over the list briefly. So we got Halo, we got Forza Motorsport, we got Fable, we got Everwild, we got Stalker 2, we got Avowed, we got Grounded, we got the Outer Worlds DLC, we got Tell Me Why, which is the new game from Don't Nod, who made Life is Strange, we got State of Decay 3, we got Medium again, and we got a load more, including Psychonauts 2 and some other smaller games. And every single game announced during this press conference or showcase is going to be on Game Pass, meaning you can pay, I think it's £8 or £10 in the UK a month, and you will have access to all of these games shown here as well as more. It's like 100 plus games. You're probably sick of hearing this at this point, but it is the best deal in gaming. Like, if I was someone who wasn't really interested in, say, a certain franchise, I wasn't really interested in God of War and playing all the God of Wars or playing all the Halos, and I just wanted to have fun, play games for a cheap price because, at the end of the day, gaming is a hobby. It's an expensive hobby, and it's not like anyone's forcing you to buy a console and then buy all these games. So if you're someone like the casual gamer who probably doesn't watch these showcases and things like that, they're looking, I could buy maybe 3-4 games a year at £60 each, or I could spend £60 a year for Games Pass for 6 months and get 100 plus games to play and try out for as long as I want during those months that I'm subscribed to Game Pass. So I think, they're both taking different approaches, and neither one is the right approach here. We don't know. We'll see how it goes for the next generation. Maybe we'll see, PlayStation continue to thrive like they did with the PS4, and we'll see Xbox continue to kind of play catch up. We could see a reversal where Xbox suddenly takes the lead, and PlayStation 5 is now trying to play catch up and trying to maybe introduce PlayStation Now in a new way. Having two different sort of gaming companies in Xbox and PlayStation doing two different things for their consumers is a really good thing, and hopefully it will push the industry forwards. So that's what I think Xbox's goal was for this showcase, letting you know why you needed to subscribe to Game Pass, not letting you know why you needed to buy a Series X, because again, at the end of the day, if you play on PC and you buy a PS5, as long as you're in the ecosystem, they don't care. One thing to say on that though is, if you're already in the ecosystem, everything they showed here is super cool. And if you're already part of Game Pass or you're already in the ecosystem of Xbox, you're going, hey, I'm super excited for this. I'm super happy I'm using Game Pass because I'm going to get to play all of these. Whereas if you're someone on PlayStation, you're probably not seeing any reason to subscribe to Game Pass at the moment. There's been a lot of controversy about Halo, and we'll get into that. If you're not maybe someone who's wowed by Forza, or you're not maybe wowed by Fable or Everwild or the brand new Avowed game, nothing here is probably going to get you to subscribe, and I think Xbox needed to do a better job at getting you subscribed if you're not already in Xbox Game Pass. So let's go over some of these games in a little bit more detail. Let's start off with the opening, Halo, the thing that everyone was excited to see, everyone was waiting for. This is your chance, Xbox. You need to wow us and let us know exactly what Halo Infinite is, because we don't know. Is this a traditional Halo game? Is this a Destiny-like Halo game? Is this open world? Let us know what it is, and we certainly got that to some extent. So it seems like this is pretty much an open world Halo game. They're going for that more classic Halo feel. The best compliment I can give what we saw about Halo Infinite is that it looks like Halo. And I mean that in two ways. One, it looks like Halo 1, 2, and 3, which is what I prefer. 343 Industries went this kind of new look with Halo 4 and 5, maybe to sort of separate themselves from what Bungie had done with Halo. Personally, it kind of just lost all its sort of Halo charm. Halo used to have a charm about it, and I feel like the new design and new style kind of went away from that. But what I also mean is this reminds me of the level Halo. If you're someone who's never played Halo before, the second level of the first Halo, Halo Combat Evolved, that was called Halo, and you landed on this mysterious location and you kind of went exploring, and it wasn't a linear path. You could kind of go where you want, and there was just so much mystery and intrigue as soon as you landed. You could see the sky and you see this banshee fly overhead, and you're like, uh-oh, I gotta get out of the way. I gotta kind of stealth my way around so this banshee doesn't see me. One of the most iconic levels, next to maybe the silent cartographer in Halo, in my opinion. And this gameplay demo reminded me so much of that mission. I love the whole open world aspect of this. I think it works really well with Halo. We've never really seen open world to that extent. Going back to those two levels, Halo and Silent Cartographer, you kind of had a feeling of open world, but you kind of knew it wasn't. And this could just bring so much more replayability to the campaign. When it comes to Halo, again, I'm more of a multiplayer guy. I will play through the campaign. I love the campaigns of especially 1, 2, 3. I super love ODST, and I really love Halo Reach. I feel like ODST is the most underrated Halo out of all of them. Just listening to the soundtrack of that game just makes me want to play that game non-stop. But I'm someone who would play the campaign, be like, cool, done with that. Maybe I'll replay it with a friend on Legendary, going through co-op. But apart from that, I'm going to play most of my time now in multiplayer, try rank up, and just have a lot of fun. And if there are ways for me to basically just go back into the campaign and replay it, I'm all for that. 343 Industries has mentioned this is going to be a platform game. They're not thinking about Halo 7, 8, and 9 at the moment. They expect Halo Infinite to last 10 years perhaps, and they're going to continue to add story gameplay to this, so maybe they'll add new locations and things. We'll probably get more multiplayer maps, more game modes, that kind of stuff. This is kind of a fresh start for Halo, but it also leans into, again, what they're doing with Xbox Game Pass. They have said this isn't a games as a service game. This isn't a live service. This isn't a Destiny. But this is a platform where Halo will continue to grow. And again, if you've got Xbox Game Pass, you'll be able to play all of this for free. They also confirmed that the gameplay is going to have Metroidvania-style aspects to it. So maybe you're exploring the ring, you see a location that you can't quite get to at the moment, so you need to continue on with your story until you find some sort of equipment where you can then head back and get to the location you wanted to. There will be a day and night cycle. The story and the map size is basically more than Halo 4 and Halo 5 combined. And from my memory, Halo 4 and Halo 5 combined is pretty big, because Halo 5's campaign, let alone, was a ridiculous amount of missions from my memory. I don't have that great a memory of Halo 5. I mainly stuck to playing Breakout, which was a super fun multiplayer mode. But yeah, that's exciting to see. We saw in the gameplay a load of new weapons. We saw the grapple ability, which I know a lot of people are like, we'll wait and see what it actually looks like and feels like to use. But from what we've seen, it looks pretty slow, and I'm kind of happy with that. I don't want a grapple where you suddenly grapple to something and you're already where you want to be. The fact that it's slow means if you're grappling to someone in multiplayer, you leave yourself completely open for a set amount of time to be shot at. And I think that's where the balance needs to be with this grapple hook. You can grapple weapons towards you, which is going to be very interesting again in a multiplayer scenario. You know, you're always going for that heavy weapon, whether that's a rocket launcher, a gravity hammer, an energy sword, whatever it might be. If you've somehow managed to pick up a grapple shot, or if you all have a grapple shot, and you can bring that rocket launcher towards you quicker than someone running to get it, that is going to create some interesting dynamics within multiplayer. You can also pick up fusion coils now and throw them, so I wonder if there are going to be any other items you can pick up and throw now, or if it's just going to be fusion coils. That is definitely something I didn't think we'd be seeing in a Halo. Now, of course, the big contention on everyone's minds at the moment is the graphics. This game doesn't look next gen. It looks, like a PS1 game. That's what I've been seeing a lot of. There's been that meme, obviously, of the brute soldier who looks like a gorilla, looks like Jimmy Russell's. And yeah, this game didn't look technically impressive. I will say that. There was a lot of pop-in, as we saw this gameplay trailer move on, you could see clouds in the background, you could see trees and grass and lighting all pop in as they made their way through this demo. One thing I will say is this is probably an early build, and in fact, I think it has been confirmed that this is an early build. I believe it was Alana Pierce in her interview with the developers. She asked them if this was an early build, and they said yes. Obviously, everyone's working from home at the moment. This demo was probably something put together from people working at home. Obviously, that's not an excuse, but it's a little bit harder to put together a game demo, which is probably why we didn't see much gameplay from this showcase as well as the PlayStation showcase, because devs are just trying to finish their games. They don't have the time and the resources to put into polishing a demo to show everyone when they've got basically all their resources just from home. I'm hoping that when we see more of this game, it does look better. There's a small trailer you can watch called, I think it's the campaign gameplay trailer, and it's about 1 minute in length. And just watching that little trailer compared to the full 8 to 10 minute gameplay, that small trailer looks like it's got better graphics. If you're someone who's maybe not impressed by Halo Infinite's gameplay demo, have a look at it on 4K because that really does actually make a ton of difference. Obviously, it doesn't fix any of that, pop in or lighting issues or kind of flatness that the gameplay had, but it definitely doesn't look like a horrible game. I think there are 3 aspects as to why this game doesn't look great. One of them I've already mentioned because everyone's working from home. The other is this is an open world game. It's obviously harder to have things rendered on screen. Hopefully they can get that stuff done. And I don't think the art style helps. They've tried to take it back to that Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3 kind of art style, step away from what we saw in Halo 4 and 5. And I think that doesn't really help highlight the graphics. If there's pop-in and the shadows and stuff aren't working in this demo, it doesn't make the art style look good either. So yes, I kind of agree with everyone. I hope this game looks slightly better, but I'm not one for graphics. If I was one for graphics, I still wouldn't be playing on my day one 2013 Xbox One. If I cared about graphics, I probably would have upgraded to an Xbox One X a long time ago. That being said though, I'm definitely going to be getting a Series X on day one, mainly because I've been on an old console for 8 years now, and it's about time I saw games a little bit better with some better hardware. Now, the other big question that I've seen a lot of people say is, are we going to be getting a Battle Royale in Halo? Now, 343 Industries have said they will not be putting a Battle Royale into this game, but I think it could work really well. And there were some rumors a long time ago that maybe the multiplayer for Halo Infinite will be free, or if they did do a Battle Royale, maybe that would be free. We saw the success of that with Warzone and Call of Duty, and I think it might have been Dr. Disrespect who had this idea for Battle Royale in Halo, and that is, maybe you've got multiplayer maps merged together to create this giant Battle Royale map, but have locked weapon spawns. So if you were to drop down in, say, like Blood Gulch, in one of the bases, you're always going to find a rocket launcher. So people can go, okay, let's drop there. We know there's going to be an energy sword there. If we can get that first, that might help us win this area and we can move on and try and take out some more people. I think locked weapon spawns would be pretty fun in a Battle Royale. And of course, all the different vehicles and stuff would again work really well. But I'm someone who just wants classic multiplayer back. I want to have that feeling of playing those original Halo games. So hopefully Halo can deliver on that. Overall, I think the Halo showcase was about 9 out of 10 for me. Yes, the graphics were not the best, but everything else I saw from that gameplay demo has me super excited and I cannot wait to play on day one when it launches. Let's move on to some other games because we've been talking about Halo for quite some time. So we got the reveal of Forza Motorsport. Forza are now dropping the numbers from their titles, so it's not going to be Forza Motorsport 8. We didn't get a release date, but I think the name alone confirms what we're seeing with Halo, and Forza is moving towards more of a platform. You're going to play Forza Motorsport. Again, you might get it through Xbox Game Pass, and then this game will live on for maybe 4, 5, maybe even longer, and you'll just keep buying cars, getting new tracks, and getting new free upgrades, that kind of stuff. You won't have to buy a new Forza every 2 years, which I think is a cool thing. We don't know if we're going to be seeing the same for maybe Forza Horizon. Maybe the next Forza Horizon is Forza Horizon, and that's just the name of it, and then they introduce new locations every couple of years. I've been wanting a Japanese Forza Horizon for a long time, so maybe we see Forza Horizon Japan. Then in a year or two after that, we see Forza Horizon, Abu Dhabi. I think that's one people have been wanting to see. maybe that's the way they go with Forza Horizon now as well. We also got State of Decay 3 officially announced, which I'm kind of here for State of Decay. I played the first one and I really liked the first one. Wasn't a fan of the second one. Tried to get into it, just couldn't. I'm hoping State of Decay 3 is, I believe it's called Class 4, which is what they were originally planning to do after the first State of Decay. And that is, think of it like DayZ. 4-player co-op, but multiplayer. You create your crew, you go around with your friends, but you bump into other people and you like trade and survive. A big open world multiplayer zombie game. I think that's what this needs to be, and if it is, I'm all here for it. Again, like, I'm excited for this. I want to see gameplay, I want to see what this game is actually like, but State of Decay has done pretty well in the past, so I think that's a good one. We then got a longer trailer for Everwild, and unfortunately we didn't really learn more about what this game actually is. This is the new game by Rare, who obviously did Sea of Thieves. We don't know if this is a game in the similar vein of it's maybe a live service. You're running around this sort of fantasy world. Looks like it's going to be 4-player co-op. You can tame like animals and stuff. But does it have some sort of multiplayer aspect where you're running into other people? It doesn't look like it from the trailer, but I'm loving the art style and kind of the direction this game is going in. I would assume we may see more next year with a release at the end of 2021, but that is a game that I definitely have on my radar, and I hope it is what I want it to be. We then saw the brand new RPG from Obsidian, which had been rumored to be here. We weren't entirely sure if we were going to see it, but it is a first-person fantasy RPG called Avowed. I believe it's set in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity, and again, while it was only a CG trailer, definitely has me hyped. Xbox has kind of been missing a big RPG in their portfolio, and hopefully this fills the space. I tried to get into the Outer Worlds, which got a brand new DLC announced here as well, just couldn't. I feel like when it comes to first-person single-player RPGs, I can get into them easier if they are sort of more fantasy than sci-fi. When it comes to sci-fi stuff, I prefer the multiplayer co-op side of that kind of stuff. So this definitely has me intrigued. I think it's definitely a long way off. Probably a 2022 game if I had to put a guess on it. I'm sure we'll see more at whatever events are next year. We got the release date for Grounded, which is another game from Obsidian that is launching on July 28th. And the beta is actually available now inside the Xbox game preview. I hopped in and played it a little bit. Again, this is a game where I feel like you want to be playing with a group of friends and just having a laugh. We've got a new trailer for Tell Me Why, which is the new game from Don't Nod, who made Life is Strange. We got another new trailer for Medium, which is a kind of Silent Hills-esque looking horror game. I believe the composer for Silent Hills is actually working on this, and they're using some pretty interesting tech where they render basically 2 different versions of the world at the same time, and you can kind of move in and out of them as you wish. It seems like we haven't seen any actual gameplay from my knowledge, but it definitely looks like it's one to watch, and that is exclusive to Xbox, though I believe it's a second-party title. We also got a reveal for Stalker 2. I didn't even know there was a Stalker 1, but it looks pretty interesting. Kind of has that Metro Exodus vibe. I believe it's kind of a survival game set near Chernobyl, which seems pretty cool, and that is a console launch exclusive on Xbox. And then they kind of rounded up everything with a game that everyone knew was going to be here, but we were just waiting to see if it was indeed legit, and that is Fable. Fable is getting a reboot by the long-rumored developer of Playground Games, who made the Forza Horizon series. It looks to be keeping the, British humour that we saw in the original games. Obviously, it won't have any of those kind of Peter Molyneux vibes to it because it's a new developer. We only got a quick CGI trailer. I assume it's probably maybe a year or 2 off. This game was first rumored probably like 2 years ago now, so I think it's probably been in development for quite a while. I think, at the earliest, it'll be the end of next year. At the latest, it'll be 2022. But I'm excited to see more. Hopefully, it is a fun RPG, because I know a lot of people love the originals. Personally, I never could really get into Fable. I tried playing Fable 3, but the motion blur in that game was just way too much for me, and I couldn't play that game for maybe more than 10 minutes. So hopefully this game doesn't have any motion blur in it, and hopefully it's a lot of fun. One other big announcement, which isn't really exclusive to Xbox in a sense, but also is that Destiny 2 is coming to Game Pass. And you might be wondering, wait, Destiny 2 is already free to play. Well, all of the expansions are coming to Game Pass, which might not be much to you if you don't play Destiny, but it is actually a pretty big thing. Because not only does it include all previous expansions, so Forsaken and Shadowkeep, which are great expansions. If you haven't played Destiny, I highly suggest you download it. Again, it's free to play. Play Forsaken if you have Game Pass, because it's got some of the best missions and gameplay aspects of Destiny. Shadowkeep was alright, but it kind of like rested on its laurels a little bit. And the new expansion coming out this year in November is going to be in Game Pass on day one. So you could just have Game Pass and play this brand new expansion, which is including new abilities, new darkness abilities, a new raid, new location of Europa, a load of new weapons. The trailer they showed off got me super excited. I can't wait for this expansion, but that is definitely a big move. Bungie partnering back up with Xbox after their split from Activision and their marketing deals with PlayStation to bring this stuff to Xbox Game Pass is exciting. It's been confirmed that there will be a patch to bring this up to 4K 60 FPS, and in the trailer, which was from the Xbox Series X, it did look like the field of view had maybe moved back a bit, so we don't know if we're going to be getting an FOV slider in the Xbox version. Of course, these changes will also make their way to PlayStation 5, but yeah, if you're an Xbox Game Pass subscriber and you also play Destiny 2, you don't need to buy the DLC, so that is awesome to see. If you want to play the seasons between every expansion, you still need to buy those though. So yeah, that kind of wraps it up for the Xbox Game Showcase. Personally, there were a lot more games shown at the Xbox Game Showcase that appealed to me than at the PlayStation Game Showcase, mainly because I'm a Halo fan. If Halo had been missing from this list of games, it would have probably been about on par with PlayStation for me, but I think Halo just kind of pushed it over the edge. A lot of people have been saying, the real winner of this showcase is Game Pass, and I have to agree. Everything, again, here is day one on Game Pass, which is a big move for Microsoft to make, and it'll be interesting to see how this does in the future, whether this is successful, people subscribe to Game Pass, and you have a load of people playing these games, or whether they don't, and they move over to PlayStation. Overall, I would give this press conference an 8.5 out of 10. Again, I think Halo just kind of pushed it over the edge for me. I'm excited to see what Forza does. I'm excited for Fable. I'm excited for Everwild. I'm excited for Avowed. And I'm interested to see what State of Decay 3 will be like as well. Obviously, most of these games are quite far away, and we also have more stuff to be announced in August or September, whenever they're doing their next event, where we get the price of the console, the release date of the console, and maybe our first look at the quadruple A game that the initiative is working on, fingers crossed. From there, though, let's go over to PlayStation and let's talk about Ghost of Tsushima, because that is what I have been playing for the last week. It came out last Friday, and I've been absolutely loving my time playing this. Now, to begin with, when I first hopped in and started playing the first couple of missions, I wasn't really sold. I was like, the environments, the location, it speaks to me, but the mission structure, is this really enjoyable? Is this fun? And it kind of took me like 3, maybe 4 missions to actually get into the swing of it, realize that, hey, maybe I want to play this game stealth instead of going like full on aggressive, which is what I've been doing in most missions that I can. Every mission where I can play as the ghost and go stealth, I do. I really prefer that kind of gameplay in this kind of game than trying to like parry and attack. And after those 3 or 4 missions, I was like, yep, I'm sold on this game. Let me just play through this whole thing. Now, I've been playing this game where I've basically just been going from main mission to main mission to main mission. I've got a ton of side objectives that I still need to go back and do. I'll probably do them after I finish the main campaign. I am in Act 3, and I won't go over any spoilers, but I'm into the final section of the map, and I'm probably about 2, maybe 3 missions into the final act. I'm not sure how long I've got left, and I assume Act 3 is the final act, as I'm in the last section of the map. I don't know that for sure, though. One thing I will say about this game, which I hope other games like this do, is get rid of those waypoint markers. If you can, bring in the wind as a way to find out where you're going. Just having the wind kind of blow in a direction feels like you're exploring this map more. It feels like I'm finding these things out on my own and just clicking on a map going, hey, this is where my marker needs to go, and following that marker. I've kind of just stumbled across like foxes' dens, then I found this fox, followed this fox, he's taken me to a shrine, I've honored the shrine and I've got an unlockable. Or I've been riding my horse along and a bird has flown by and I go, okay, let me follow this bird. And he's taken me to this other shrine where I get a new skin for my sword. This game really makes you feel like you are exploring this stuff for yourself. You're not just following markers. And the sort of different side stuff you can do between the main missions is quite vast and really fun to do. My favorite thing are the sort of shrines where you will go up to them and you've got to try and work your way up to the top of the mountain or wherever it might be by doing, some climbing on some rocks, some jumping. You get a grapple halfway through the game, which allows you to get to different locations. Some of the shrines you can't do until you've got this grapple. I really like those kind of smaller gameplay aspects between doing these big main missions. I'm sure if you've seen anyone talking about Ghost of Tsushima, you've seen them talking about the photo mode or you've seen images from the photo mode. And it's probably one of the best things about this game. Usually in games, if there's a photo mode, I might play around with it a bit, but that'll be kind of it. I'll just maybe take a few screenshots and be done with it. In Ghost, I'm constantly in the photo mode. I'll be just riding along and go, that tree looks kind of nice, the weather's kind of nice at the moment. Let me just back out into the photo mode, play around with a few different camera angles. The amount of control you have in the photo mode is crazy. You can choose what particles are in the air, you can choose the wind direction, how the clouds look in the sky, the time of day. You can apply different grades, you can do your focus, your depth of field, you can do the exposure, you can have the actual environment being animated, so leaves and trees are blowing in the wind, or you can freeze them. You can add cinematic bars, you can change the expression on your character Jin's face. There's a ton of customization in this photo mode, which I think is what makes it so appealing, and the fact that you can pull up the photo mode anywhere in this game, no matter where you are, and the shot will just look perfect. They have done an extremely good job with the look of this game. The different environments, you'll go from a forest full of these golden trees to suddenly a field of green, fresh grass to then a forest full of bamboo in the snow and then a load of red leaves on trees. It's crazy how gorgeous this game looks. I think the biggest compliment I can give this game is that it takes the elements that I loved from a game like Red Dead Redemption 2 and it takes the elements that I loved from a game like Assassin's Creed and just merges them together. I'm someone who likes just riding around on my horse in Red Dead Redemption 2 and exploring, but I always felt the world in Red Dead was a little bit just kind of boring. There wasn't really much to it, whereas this game is the complete opposite. Just riding around is so much fun and you're bound to just bump into something to do, whether that is just finding a collectible, whether it is finding a shrine to go and do, or maybe you bump into someone to challenge, having a standoff with some Mongols. And then it takes that kind of fighting aspect that I kind of miss from Assassin's Creed. You can more or less take on any encounter however you want, whether that is full-on aggressive or full-on silent and stealthy. There will be missions where your AI partner will say to your character, how do you want to do this? Do you want to go in attacking or do you want to sneak around the back silently? And then they will kind of follow your direction. If you go in aggressive, the AI will come in with you, and if you decide to go stealth, the AI will kind of sit back a little bit and let you do your thing. One thing I think this game does really well is progression with your character. There are a lot of skill trees, and you can put your points into, again, the full-on fighting, so you can parry quicker, deflect quicker, that kind of stuff. You can put your skill points into the equipment you use. You can put your skill points into finding collectibles on the map. You can put your skill points into stealth gameplay. So you can kind of customize your character to your play style. And as you progress through the game, you'll kind of be introduced into more ways to play. To start off, you just kind of have your basic moves. But again, I play stealth, so I've spec'd into the different stealth trees. So as I've upgraded, I've got sort of more abilities and enhancements. For instance, if an enemy sees me, it takes longer for them to actually detect me. I can assassinate 3 people at once. So if I go up behind someone and assassinate them and there's people next to them, I can then quickly assassinate those 2 before they alert other guards. I've then upgraded my wind charm, which is a charm you can throw on the floor and it will kind of alert someone and they'll walk over to it to investigate. Well, you can then upgrade that if you want to a firecracker, so it brings more people over. There's a really cool upgrade where if you're going to go, say, assassinate someone, it'll let you know if there's another guard who will see that assassination that is off in the distance. So you know whether or not you can actually safely take out this person without someone else noticing. Now, mild spoiler, which doesn't really have anything to do with the campaign or gameplay, but there's an ability you get about halfway through the game where you need to kill people in order to get it. And if you get hit, it will reset the bar back to the beginning. You need to get about 7 or 8 kills depending on what armor you're using. And if you manage to get those 8 kills without being hit, you activate Ghost Mode. And Ghost Mode basically allows you to one-hit kill up to about 3 enemies before it disappears, but that will then terrify all the other enemies around you, and they'll start running away and allow you to then take them on a lot easier. And that's just a cool mechanic. Again, you only get halfway through the game. Another cool thing about this game is the customization and the different armors. You can collect different armors from completing quests or just searching around for vanity items, and different armors can be upgraded using all the different materials you find. You can change the look of them in terms of the dyes, and there will be an armor set that plays into however you want to play. For instance, I'm using the ghost armor, which means I get detected 40% less. I can kind of stealth around a little bit quicker, but I didn't have to choose that. I could have gone into another armor set, which allows me to maybe take on more hits before losing health. You can also then upgrade your weapons, and you can put charms into your weapons that give you different abilities and bonuses. There's real depth here with the customization, and again, it just makes you be able to play however you want to play. It is definitely up there within my top 5 games for this year. Obviously, we've still got half the year to go, and I'll be doing a full list of my top favourite games near the end of the year, but I definitely think this is going to be in that list. So far, I'm probably going to be giving this game a 9 out of 10. I think it is that good, and if you have a PlayStation, I highly recommend picking up this game and giving it a go. Again, if you like Assassin's Creed, if you like just exploring, if you like kind of those aspects from Red Dead Redemption of just riding around on your horse, this is the game for you. And if you like taking pictures like in Pokemon Snap, again, this is the game for you. So yeah, Ghost of Tsushima gets a 9 out of 10 for me at the moment. Again, I've not finished the main campaign. I may do a small mini review video when I have done. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be playing around with that photo mode a lot more. Expect an aesthetic kind of video if you're not aware of what those are. Cinematic videos basically showing off the environments. I've done some in the past for Destiny and they've done really well, and this game just lends itself to that. So look out for that on the channel in the next month or two. And I think that kind of wraps it up for this week. There has been a lot to talk about, especially with Ghost and of course the Xbox Game Showcase. If you have somehow managed to make it this far into this episode, then massive respect to you. I really do appreciate it. Again, this is just an experiment. I say this every week, that I'm trying out a way for me to talk about stuff that I wouldn't really want to dedicate videos to, and hopefully, again, as this progresses, it continues to get better and I continue to grow the quality of this show. I'm also going to be trying to get this up on some more platforms, so it's not just available on YouTube. I'm going to try maybe SoundCloud, maybe Spotify and some other things as well, because I know a lot of people just like to listen to stuff and not have to go on YouTube for that. So that is something I'm working on and hopefully should be up in the next couple of weeks. As we get into the second half of the year, I'm sure the news and information is going to start ramping up, so there'll definitely be a lot to talk about in the near future, so that is exciting to see. If you did make it this far into the show and you're new around here, then consider subscribing so you get to stay up to date with every episode of The Lowdown, as well as all the other videos I put up on the YouTube channel. If you did enjoy this, then click that like button because it helps get this out there to more people. You can follow me over on Twitter at @IamMisterBo to stay up to date with all the information about this podcast, as well as the channel. Apart from all of that though, again, thank you very much for sticking with me through this. I really enjoy making this, so hopefully you guys really enjoy listening to it as well. And hopefully I will see you all in next week's episode of The Lowdown. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.